Best class to start hardcore with? If I can be candid with you, completely honest, even like the weak classes can still do pretty much everything in the entire game. So, how about this? I'll tell you the 5 builds that I would recommend to start with, and whichever one is like, I like that one. I'll also list the strength pros cons real quick. You ready? Druid, pulverize. Starts really slow, ramps to the end game to become an immortal god that one-shots the whole screen. Very like S+ tier build, but you have to put a lot of effort in. Barbarian, whirlwind, or Hota. I prefer whirlwind. I prefer whirlwind a lot. Also, same case as the druid. Arguably takes more effort because you need more aspects to actually come online fully, but you don't need as many aspects. Like, sorry, you're not as dependent on one singular aspect. Like, druid absolutely needs pulverize aspect to come online. Barb needs like a host of aspects, so you get like a steady increase in power and quality of life as time goes on. And absolute S+ tier build as well. Yeah, pulverize is not dog shit for single target. It's not its strong point. I wouldn't say it's dog shit though. Like, I was still able to kill dungeon bosses like literally in 5 hits. Bang, 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 done. What else? Sorceress, extremely balanced throughout the entire game. This unfortunately means it's probably the weakest class because nobody wants to play a balanced build. You want to feel OP eventually at some point. So Sorceress never felt OP. It never really felt that weak either. Massive con is mana, is a piece of shit. Obviously, I'm talking about Ice Shard Sorceress here, so Ice Shard Sorc for the build. Very fun to play. Lots of cooldowns. Not the tankiest though. In hardcore, it's a little bit annoying because it's not a tanky build. A lot of your cooldowns keep you alive, and that's great. But when you don't have your cooldowns, you can literally get one shot, right? So I actually personally played with Flame Shield. I think most hardcore Sorcs play with Flame Shield enchant, which basically cucks your build a lot. So it's like, yeah. But very balanced. Very, very, very balanced. And remember, for all of these classes, there are other alternative builds. I'm just listing starter builds that I would recommend to new players. Rogue, Twisting Blades, and Penetrating Shot are 2 of the more popular ones. There's a few other builds as well. I think people lean towards Penetrating because Twisting Blades got a bit of a like... I did get a bit of cooldown nerfing, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, Twisting Blades, or which is kind of like BV, and Penetrating Shot, which is both very good. Quite squishy to play, but you have so much maneuverability, and every build honestly gets very tanky with gear in hardcore. So yeah, it is one of the squishy classes, but because you have so much mobility, and it feels good to play. That's the big thing. It feels good to play. So that's absolutely S+ tier starter as well. That is one of the stronger builds in the entire game. Then you have what do you call it? Necro. Now Necro, probably that would be my weakest recommendation. Even though I do think Sorc is weaker overall, I think that Necro has too many problems. Like, it's a problematic class, let's be honest here. Just because there are good Necro builds doesn't mean you should recommend it to like new hardcore players. So it has the biggest problem with unstoppable uptime. It has the biggest problem with getting a lot of defense. Your defensive cooldowns are kind of shitty. Your movement speed is shitty, so your mobility is kind of crap. You can solve all of these with gear, right? Like you Paragon and gear can get a lot of armor stacking for defense. You get a lot of movement speed on your amulet and your boots, and then that solves your mobility. You can get unstoppable on your boots as well if you're really scared like me. I'm also running a permanent Blood Mist build, so well, not permanent, but high uptime, so Blood Mist makes me unstoppable permanently, pretty much. So you can solve these problems with gear, but I would say it's the most problematic class. If you were gonna start though, if you were like dead on, like you want to play a Necromancer, don't go with minions. I would go with Bone Spear. If you're dead set on minions, Rise QT has a guide for that. Like if that's your thing, I'm gonna leave it out there just because I know a lot of people think Necro equals Summoner. I believe that still uses Bone Spear, but it has minions to supplement, so it's gonna be the closest thing you're gonna get to a viable Summoner. And he did hit 100 on hardcore with that. So yeah, Bone Spear all the way. I don't recommend Hotter for noobs. Yeah, I would recommend Whirlwind for sure. I would recommend Whirlwind. They just asked for a good starter build. Well, I just listed 5 starter builds for 5 classes, pros and cons for each. If I had to pick one for
Mine now.
Druid. Because the reason I would pick Druid is it's very tanky. It has the most viable builds, in my opinion, other than maybe Rogue. And it's brokenly overpowered at endgame. It's probably it's so strong at endgame. So I would recommend Druid. But, you know, all of those builds are very viable. They're very viable. Yeah, chat, I know you guys have been spamming Arclash for Sorceress. That's such a dogshit recommendation, I don't even know where to begin. Like, you know, if someone tries to play Arclash from like 1 to 70, they're gonna like want to rip their dick off around level 50. Like, it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. It does come online late game, but that's why it's like, no one should recommend Arclash because people that play Arclash know they want to play Arclash and know what to do. It would be like recommending this build to a new player because this build does not function at all. It's a piece of shit until you get like level 60, 70 with like some decent itemization. So it's like a bad idea to recommend builds that actually need gear. I actually leveled with it and I did want to quit the game at level 50. It was worth it in the end. That's why I would recommend swapping to Arclash. Swap to Arclash. Don't. So if you're familiar with Path of Exile, there's a build in the game called Cock, right? Imagine telling a new hardcore player to play Cock. Like they would that would suck ass. Now, it doesn't matter if Cock is one of the strongest builds in the entire game. They're gonna have a rough time. That's a bad idea. You know, I'm gonna be right back. I need food. Be right back. 1 second. Like 3 minutes. Be right back.